I'm Terre Hayhurst from Hayhurst Farms. My grandfather and dad bought the original property, not where we're sitting, but the original property back in 1942. And then I came back to the farm full-time in 1984 after graduating Purdue. It is a family partnership. My sister and mom and I are the basic partners in the farm. We raise corn and soybeans, a little bit of wheat, hay. We have about a 30 head purebred polled Hereford herd, which is brown cattle with white faces. We are full-time farmers, my wife and I. We have a few part-time people helping. My oldest daughter, Lillian, graduated from Southern Illinois University this last year and has been coming back and helping on the farm a little bit now. About 1,500 acres of corn and soybeans, 50-50 mix, a little over 700 acres of each. And that's probably the base income of the farm. The cattle side is a lot more fun and enjoyment. Of course, this time of year with the livestock, with the cattle, we're haying from time to time. Of course, the cattle's got to be fed every day. Twice a day we feed cattle. So when you get up in the morning, you got to go out and get that done. We mentor some kids. My niece shows livestock through the farm, and we've got some neighbor kids that show cattle and hogs both through the farm. So I try to get that done, and my niece definitely tries to get down here every morning for a couple hours and work with calves. And between my oldest daughter that's here and I, we try to help these kids along with learning a little bit more of how to take care of an animal and show it at the fairs and stuff. So it's kind of just an enjoyment for us. And then of course we still have calves. Off and on all summer long we'll have some calves, so we've checked the cows and processed calves as calves are born. A few things like that every morning during the day, and then of course as soon as possible we try to get out. This time of year we're still spraying beans, putting anhydrous on corn, trying to get the crops pretty well laid by for the season, and of course always watching the markets to see what's going on. We have breeding stock that we sell from time to time, some bulls to neighbors and things like that. We have some breeding stock, other breeding stock, some freezer beef to different people that have been regular customers over the years. And then we market at one of the local livestock markets any of the other calves that we don't sell for freezer beef. We try to feed a balanced diet. Most of the products are things that we raise ourselves. We have to buy in mineral premixes and soybean meal for protein for the animals, but all the roughage that we feed them and all the corn that goes into our rations are basically all from the farm. So, livestock, one of the great things about beef and any ruminant animal is the fact that they use forages that are not available to the use of the general public and turn that into food and fiber, which is a very important thing to realize, that crop ground has to have a certain flatness to it to be somewhat usable, whereas especially when you get out west, some of the more range grounds that cattle end up being put on are not productive for much other things.
Our starting point for our life together, actually right after the honeymoon, was going to our first state Young Farmer Committee meeting, literally right after the honeymoon. And that was probably the best way that I personally could have started into this world of agriculture with Terry. I didn't grow up on a farm, and I was immediately immersed into agriculture, not just being married to a farmer, but having the opportunity to talk with 9 other couples from all over the state and learn about what they did and how they did it and why they did it. And so it was a really great way to make friends instantly in the farming world. I think it's really important that we have a chief organization in each state that is a voice for agriculture, particularly in that state. And Indiana Farm Bureau has been a leader ever since I've been aware of the organization in letting the public know, even more so now, what today's production agriculture is all about. They are very good at going in having training seminars for both men and women to take agriculture into the classrooms in the schools. teaching kids that milk does indeed come from a cow, not from Kroger's. And they have such a huge and important presence at the Indiana State Fair, where people can come through with their families, and there's hands-on activities, and it's a great encouragement for families to learn how and where their food is produced in the state. And I also like it that they make it a priority to not just focus on production ag of corn and soybeans and cattle like we have, but that they also really respect the tomato growers and the melon growers and all of those folks that are such an important part of agriculture in Indiana.
I'm active with Farm Bureau from the standpoint I'm on the state PACT committee, which helps oversee a lot of the political activities that we do in Farm Bureau. And one of the things that we try to do is we try to educate not only the general public, but we also try to educate politicians on a lot of the things that are happening in agriculture and the importance of agriculture, the whole scheme of things. I mean, you know, from a local standpoint, one of the biggest property taxpayers in most counties is the ag base. So there's great revenues that go into, and I think sometimes that's overlooked in the whole scheme of things because it's just there every year, it happens. When it comes to the fact that close to 25% of the general public is involved in an agriculture product somewhere down the road after the farm gate. And so that's important for them to realize that those things are occurring. So it's an income generator throughout economies. From a state level, you know, we want to make sure that a lot of the policies that are happening from a state standpoint make sure that they're favorable and help create an environment that makes agriculture fruitful and prosperous so that we can continue to try and make healthy food sources. And from a national standpoint, of course, we're looking at world trade all the time. We're looking at how our products not only are products that are used in the United States, but they're used around the world. So we got to have a favored environment from a national standpoint and an international standpoint. So all these things are things that we're active with through Farm Bureau, and hopefully we can help accomplish. Of course, Farm Bureau has always worked very diligently with other commodity programs to make sure that they all work together. And I think it takes a joint action of not only Farm Bureau, but also the commodity groups all working together to make sure we're on board to make things happen that are positive for agriculture. I'm Terre Hayhurst.
And I'm Susan Hayhurst of Hayhurst Farms.
And we found our voice with Indiana Farm Bureau.